Welcome to the session, everyone. I'm Pei Woan, and I'm from Workday. So I represent Workday as the Asia Head of Solutions for HCM and Technology, managing a team of HCM and technology consultants across the region in ASEAN, in Greater China, as well as in Korea. I'm also a leader in people experience, working closely with a dynamic team to put in practice the Workday culture and ensuring Workday remains a great place to work for all our employees. At Workday, my role is to have conversations with CEOs and CHROs as they embark on their HR transformation journey, formulating visions of what they can and should expect, and how to get there, leveraging on the latest technology. But today, we are very privileged to have our guest speakers, Sudhir, CEO of Everise and also a founder, and Annie, APJ Head of Talent Acquisitions and Diversity Outreach at Citrix, with us in this fireside chat to share how they are leading the way in supporting their companies to navigate during this period of global business disruptions. Hi, Sudhir. Would you give us a brief introduction about yourself?
Yeah, thanks. Again, my name is Sudhir Agarwal, and I am the founder and CEO of Everise. Everise is one of the leading customer experience companies which is powered and enabled digitally. We basically service Fortune 500 clients globally, and we have 12,000 people, spanning across the globe.
All right, excellent. And how about Annie? Why don't you introduce yourself to us too?
So good afternoon, everyone, and I hope you are keeping well and safe. Well, thank you, Workday, for the invitation. My name is Annie Lin. I'm the Head of Talent Acquisition and Diversity Outreach for Citrix APJ. Well, Citrix is a US IT cloud-based MNC. We deliver digital workspace, networking and security, cloud and analytics technologies to help customers to work anytime, anywhere in a very secured manner. So very glad to be here this afternoon.
Thanks, Sudhir and Annie. With organizations having to deal with multiple aspects of economic uncertainties, industry disruptions, and change during these global business disruptions, agility has become fundamental for organizations not only to survive, but thrive in a changing world. Recent events have left companies with no choice but to adapt and adopt new ways of working. So here's a question to both of you. At what point did your organization decide to activate business continuity plans, or in short, BCP? And what were some of the challenges you faced in implementing BCP?
Again, very good question. Firstly, I think, for any good organization to be a great organization, they need to have very strong systems and processes in place, right? It's not about when you are faced with a problem, what it is. You can't enforce a BCP. BCP is just you activate that process that has been in place. We at Everise, when we started 3.5 years back, partnered with over 21 different technology companies, and for example, our entire HRMS platform is Workday, right? So similar to that, all the stuff that we do is on the cloud. So whenever we are hit by any kind of business disruption, our BCP plan activates. But for any organization to have the BCP plan being activated successfully, they need to have a very strong backbone and infrastructure of systems that are based on technology. Specific to this unfortunate COVID incident that we all are in the middle of, we actually had our plans activated as early as back in February, when we started seeing the wave kind of growing in Asia. And we took the best practices from here and implemented that globally to all our locations.
So really the COVID-19 crisis has drastically transformed the way we live and work. And while the economies may be still shifting, industry will shape differently. But one thing for sure, the world will continue to be connected. Now, we can't predict the next crisis, but we certainly can be prepared for it. So at Citrix, we are very much prepared for such business disruption as a cloud IT company. This is really our DNA. So at Citrix, we have multiple secured platforms for enabling software and technologies to enable us to work anytime, anywhere. So remote working is quite a norm to us, but it seems like now it's become the new normalcy, right? So we leverage a lot in terms of our technology platforms like the Citrix Workspace, our virtual apps, desktop, to really enable seamless workforce productivity and giving the employees to work in a very flexible manner from anytime, anywhere, in a very secure manner. So we also support them with a communication platform where we strengthen the use of virtual webinars to make sure that there's constant communication. We use a lot of different apps to ensure that there is connection with global, and we also use Workday and other apps to support the broader reach of communication and increase virtual and remote work models. We have also expanded our learning platform. Really, our mission is to help our employees to build strength and resilience, support our customers to give them the solution they needed, and giving additional learning resources to maintain their mental well-being. And finally, a lot of these platforms itself are also supported with analytics. We use Tableau to help us to leverage the information from Workday and combining with the Tableau analytics to continue to help us to drive productivity and employee engagement.
Interesting. Indeed, I believe technology has really made a lot of difference in how we're able to stay agile while working from home, right? Because it is now has become the new norm, so much so that I think companies are also trying to stay abreast in what we call the work style innovation. During these unprecedented times, it's also very important to provide clarity to employees while implementing BCP to minimize disruptions to the business. So as part of providing clear and concise information to your workforce, Sudhir, what sort of measures have you taken to prepare the employees, business leaders, as well as management for a situation such as now?
So, again, kind of leading forward from the last answer that I gave you, the way we designed our entire the technical setup at a backbone point of view was we already had 10% of our workforce at home, right? And the moment COVID happened, within a span of 2.5 weeks, we were able to move 90% of all our employees to work from home, irrespective of the location that they were in, okay? So that's really the first thing that one has to understand, that companies have to make that investment way before. Today it's COVID, that doesn't mean tomorrow there won't be something else. So for companies that have not made the investment, they are the ones that are struggling right now. For companies that have made the investments, we all are struggling because it's not the right environment to continue to work, but we are still able to support our customers, right? And then, working as far as our employees goes and as far as our processes go, it's constant communication. You have to give the feeling to the employee that there is no difference in terms of the way they work, in terms of the way we communicate with them, even if they are home. Now, let me give you an example. What kind of platform we can use on that, right? For example, we use Microsoft Teams, right? And all our employees are across our organization are on Teams. And what that enables us to do is communicate real time to them. All their metrics are reviewed on an hourly basis, on a weekly basis, on a monthly basis, just like it would be if they were in an office environment. So really a work at home is just an alternate, but the way you measure and communicate with your workforce remains exactly the same.
All right. Thank you, Sudhir. I believe that while I guess companies like Everise are a bit more ready to work from home, there are many companies who actually would suffer from not being ready in the sense of not having the facility to enable the work from home, including the technology that is required for such cases. And I truly agree with you that the constant communication, such as what you're practicing, really help employees to adapt to the evolving situation. And that's really something that's critical for employee. So moving on to Annie, a question for you would be, as we look at the recent years, the workforce is shifting in both demographics and composition, creating a diverse workforce with more variety of engagement than ever before. You're known to be someone who is highly passionate about your endeavors in employee engagement. Can you share some of the strategies you have deployed and how you have taken advantage of digital solutions to achieve this?
I can't agree more with what you and Sudhir has mentioned. Communication is really a critical component of the business plan for employees to remain productive and engaged. Within Citrix itself, we have had a number of pulse surveys. Employees expressed that they've settled into the new phase in our new normal of working from home and pretty much used to remote working. So again, I think the employee surveys will help us in terms of making sure that we are doing the right things to support employee working from home. So Citrix is overall very proud that 92% feel that they are productive and able to deliver our priorities. And 91% felt that they are properly prioritizing between employees' health and well-being. So some of the things that we did is that we have expanded our employee resources. Safety is our top priority. It is important that we do not underestimate the human side of global crisis. So Citrix is helping employees in a quickly transitioning mode into remote working, coping with changes in the workloads and the working styles, managing their stress. Everyone has a different family structure. Some have to care for their children, others in the household. But it's important that, for us, when we were to expand our employee resources, is to help them to manage all the various challenges, giving them the resources, the training available. We even deploy, orientation, via the Workday, introduction of Citrix learning centers. And we even introduce topics like virtual meditation, group virtual yogas, virtual mental health exercises, all helping them to be better and more productive in terms of working from home. We have also improved our employee engagement communication channels in many different ways to making sure that we also, promote wellness and at the same time amplify various employee success stories, helping them to be able to cope better at home, the importance of practicing mindfulness, self-care, and more importantly also, we want to make sure that they themselves, are able to cope with this. In fact, our management has also given employees for VP levels and below, basically to receive a one-time bonus, of US $1,000 to all help cope with COVID-19. We have also elevated our employee assistance program to making sure that we provide them free resources, as well as employees to speak to counselors for confidential consultation. And more importantly, I think doing all of this itself is to make sure that we continue to build trust, engagement, and empowerment. Together we build a stronger culture as a foundation to support them through this global crisis.
Those are amazing ideas, Annie. Thanks for sharing. And I'm sure we could pull a leaf out of your book of ideas for our own company use. Sudhir, you've recently been awarded as a People-Focused CEO of the Year by Stevie Awards for Great Employers. As a leader who is also responsible for the bottom line, how do you arrive at a balance between employees' well-being and business deliverables? And where do you see are the biggest risk or weakest link?
Profits and outcome. I think every business has to realize that profit is an outcome. If you only work with one goal, which is only to make profit, it will not happen, okay? We are a people-first company. Our biggest assets and actually our only assets are our people, right? And the whole culture that we've developed in the company is people first. If you look at our Glassdoor ratings, it's one of the highest in the industry. Even in this situation of, COVID, as Annie rightly said, our number one concern is the safety of our employees. And even today, a few of the cities have lifted the COVID restriction, but we are still having them work from home. So that's number one. I firmly believe that as long as you have a culture where your people feel empowered, they enjoy to work at, they will give their best in the work that they do for our customers. And at Everise, we are obsessed about creating fans. That's really our mission. And you know, we want to create, we want to make fans for our customers. But the way you make fans for your customers, you got to first make your employees your fans. So in Connection, if you have your employees who are your fans, they will do 110% of their work for our customers. And at the end of the day, the customers will be happy with the NPS scores and all that give you, and hence profit will come in. So that's the way I look at profit. Okay. Again, we are in business. Making money is extremely important, but it's like a funnel. And as long as you have the funnel designed in such a way where you focus mostly on your biggest assets, which are your people, I think you will make money.
Right. That's very refreshing, Sudhir. I think, you know, as employees, they are constantly sharing how challenging it is for them to separate the work from their family and reimagining the work-life balance, right? Mm-hmm. Having a company with leaders like yourself that understand the challenges that they are going through will certainly help to reduce some of the pressures that they are going through. And as they say, happy employees, happy customers. So Sudhir, another question for you. Everise has grown in a very short span of time. In your line of business, where you need to ensure you have the right people with the right skills to do the right job, how has Everise been able to keep up with the demands of the business?
We've actually grown to 12,000 people from 3,500, and I believe we will keep growing. Again, for me, I don't measure growth in terms of the more number of people that we employ. That's great. I think it's the quality of work that we do for our clients. So we always keep upskilling ourselves as an organization. You know, we are a very acquisitive company. We've done 3 acquisitions, and we will keep looking at doing more acquisitions to build our capability from a stack point of view, right? Then secondly, which is a growth organization, we have a team of about 35 very leaders from great organizations who've joined us, who are out there are growing the business. And how do they grow the business? It's equal focus on our existing partners with our existing clients, and then hunters which focus on getting new logos. As I said before, all of our clients are either in the Fortune 500 list or they are unicorns out there. And then backed by that is an absolutely amazing operating delivery organization that ensures that in terms of delivery, we are either number 1 or number 2 consistently. Because I firmly believe that as long as as an organization you can keep delivering, you will always be ahead of the curve. And that's how we've been able to grow, touch wood, double digits every year on year.
All right. Thanks, Sudhir. What about yourself, Annie? Would you say that investing in the right capabilities as a long-term measure is now more important than ever?
Yeah, absolutely. You know, in terms of, investing in terms of capabilities of our people is the foremost. You know, and for us, we are ongoing, making sure that we are in touch with employees' engagement, to making sure that, our employees are getting the right resources and the tools. We are also making a lot of adjustments at the moment right now, because work from home is now the new norm. We are already thinking about plowing resources whereby, leaders are not traveling, and we may have to stop traveling until the end of the year. But all of these resources have to be realigned, right? And some of the things that we realign are very interesting activities whereby we have to do virtuals, onboarding, virtuals, welcome, and at the same time, sometimes we have to do even virtual exits, right? So for me, from a talent perspective, I think more importantly is that how we successfully integrate all of these employees, right, during this challenge. How do we continue to boost the productivity and the retention of our key employees? So I totally believe that upskilling, uplifting their capabilities, and try to also support them in terms of optimizing some of the technologies in order to make sure that they are being engaged. And we also have to look into the future, where our talents required. How do we make sure that this sort of, large-scale economic recession will impact both in terms of long-term as well as short-term? So relooking at, the workforce planning strategies is important, especially now we're very much focused in terms of the digital, the AI. How do we use more in terms of robotics, machine learning, in order to help us to be able to manage this from a longer term perspective?
Right, thank you, Annie. In fact, I think that's absolutely true. Being able to have a good insight into your workforce, understand the demand versus the supply, and ultimately come up with a strategy whether to build, borrow, or buy your talent is really important. Right. Final thoughts from both of you. Savvy HR leaders have recognized that industry disruption is anything but a neat and linear process. Sometimes even the best laid plans needs to be altered, and very quickly too, right, to adjust to changing business dynamics. So this makes agility really a critical skills for HR leaders, for the management as well. And you need to process and develop that in the organization. So what are your views on leveraging technology to stay agile? Sudhir, would you like to start first?
No, so listen, I think technology has always been a very key part of organizations, right? I think there's a huge, again, everyone's really focusing on it right now because it's the need of the hour. Okay, but the reality is, there used to be a time where when you used to talk about technology or implementing of any tool, whether it's Workday, we work with Citrix, we're a great partner of ours, we would say, oh, the chief operating officer would say, yeah, that's the job of the CTO. No, everyone has to be a technology leader now. Every function has to be a technology leader now. Organizations that don't do that don't have leaders that embrace that change, will be left behind. I firmly believe that. That's my first point. So, but the more important point is the two other things that I look at. Number one, you got to keep investing in your people and your leadership. You got to keep hiring the best. You got to keep upskilling them by developing them and teaching them new tools and the new way of working, right? Ideally we would have a seminar like this in a ballroom with hundreds of people, but we've adapted to the change. We're now doing it over webinars, right? We have customer summits, which we used to do, but now we're doing it over webinars. That doesn't mean the work has stopped. Work will continue. Change will happen. If there's one thing that's constant, that is not constant, is change, right? And the last and the most important point is for organizations to be agile, right? Any organization that is rigid and that says, oh no, we are only going to work like this, unfortunately will not be able to survive in times to come. I believe what COVID's done, not just to our industry, but to every industry and every leader globally, has made everyone put up the thinking cap and to say, how should we redesign our organization so that we could be ready for anything? So that's really what and all of that has to start from the top, because it's me as the CEO who sets the culture for the organization. So you have to lead by example.
Very true, Sudhir. Annie?
Yeah, correct. Absolutely concur. I think many companies are already deploying many different types of technologies. I think here is that many employees are feeling overwhelming because everything seems to be technology enabled and they have to work behind their laptop, almost every single, minute. There's no way that they can escape because we all have to be behind this laptop. But I think more than ever, right, it is important that we have managers to establish really a sense of psychology, safety, and even using technology itself, we need to be mindful about the digital wellness, so leading employees with transparency, with trust, with empathy, so that we can all build a high performing, empathetic, actively engaged remote workforce. So really these are very difficult times, right? But I think more importantly, how to help them to be able to thrive in this new norm of business continuity. Employees needs to know that the leaders are helping them, with this disruption, using technologies, enable them to learn. And we are cutting across all different generations. from the younger generations who are more agile to learn, to the older generation that felt that they need more time to cope. So I think engaging them in many different ways, creating a thriving online culture, it's important so that, as we overcome this pandemic, this disruption itself, we would have better employee engagement, helping them to be more productive and building a stronger culture together.
Thanks, Annie and Sudhir. I think those are very insightful discussions and sharing. And I think the audience have certainly picked up some of the best practice that they can apply to their area of relevance. Now, with multiple factors that are driving uncertainties, one thing is for sure, organizations have to stay agile. And in order to stay agile, and like what Annie mentioned, to thrive, right, in this current situation, you need to leverage on technology. No matter how overwhelming it is, digital technology has proven to be able to provide visibility to the key stakeholders because they would need real-time, on-demand information and to make data-driven decisions. And the second part of it is, in order to stay agile, you need to have a robust cloud-first strategy to quickly respond to things like BCP, reorganization and realignment of teams. And lastly, work style innovation. And that is really the ability for organizations to understand the employee sentiment and to help ensure that the employee well-being is taken care of, but at the same time, not at the expense of productivity as well.